One prototype is followed by another, until now he has a collection of around 16. Into them he has fitted various types of engines, anything from a 130 horsepower Rolls-Royce to a humble 60 horsepower car engine. Ken Wallace flew them to prove to himself that they were not only airworthy, but could do most things that a helicopter could. But as a former armaments officer in the RAF, he always saw his autogyros filling a military role. It was James Bond who really exploited the fighting potential of this Norfolk machine. During the late 60s, Little Nellie weaved and dived across the cinema screens throughout the world in You Only Live Twice. The film effects boys had fitted out one of Ken's planes with 14 mock unguided rockets, 2 infrared-seeking missiles, and a cluster of aerial mines. Now, after all these years, there's renewed military interest in the autogyro. But the new interest in it is not as a weapon system, more as a mini reconnaissance aircraft. Wing Commander Wallace, why would the autogyro be more effective than a helicopter or a conventional plane when it comes to reconnaissance?
Well, I don't think it really competes with either of them. We still need helicopters and we still need aeroplanes, there's no question about that. But it's very, very small, and so it's very difficult to see. It's not an easy target. The other thing, the most important thing, is that it's very stable, and one man can fly it and operate all the sort of equipment that one might need for reconnaissance as well. It literally flies itself.
Now, I know you think they'd be invaluable for use on small warships and patrol boats. What sort of tests have you carried out to see whether this is a realistic possibility?
Well, the logical first thing to do was to land and take off on a lorry a number of times. The lorry had a very small space, it was only 8 feet wide, and the aircraft is 5 feet wide, but that was very, very easy. I found that at first I was taking it very, very cautiously, but after a while I was grinning all over my face, and I did about 25 takeoffs and landings in the one little exercise that we carried out, perfectly happy with it. And then we did a further experiment with a vessel that would only move along at 12 knots, which was not very much. We obviously had a wind component to help. But that was the next stage of the experiment, because obviously to convert a warship, a small warship, for this sort of purpose is a major exercise. So one has to prove the feasibility. And that's been done now.
But surely landing on a vessel in a choppy sea is a very different kettle of fish from landing on a lorry, isn't it?
Yes, yes, although obviously we have greater deck space available. The vessel will be going a lot faster, which will give us a lot more manoeuvre, because we do rely on the speed of the vessel to provide the helicopter-like capability of the aircraft. And the other advantage of this little aircraft is it's extremely manoeuvrable and responsive, so therefore if the ship is moving fairly fast, I think we shan't have too much trouble in keeping pace with the ship.
The big advantage of the Wallace autogyro is that it's simple to operate and simple to maintain. We can't pretend to compete with a naval helicopter such as a Lynx or a Sea King, but they require a big flight deck and a lot of expensive and complicated maintenance and crew to back them up. The Wallace autogyro doesn't need any of this because it's simple and it's small. It's also, I'm told, very easy to fly, so that it's stable and the pilot can concentrate on looking over the side, looking for ships, which is what he's there for. The reason that we are interested in it is the role is purely an eye in the sky. When you can see nothing of the target but a little blob on the edge of the radar screen, you don't know what it is. You can send out your eye to tell you who he is and what he's doing. And of course, if you're going to do something like firing an Exocet missile at him, you want to know that it's the enemy and not a Liberian tanker or a lighthouse or something. But purely having an eye to do simple reconnaissance is a very big step forward for a small patrol boat which can't operate a helicopter. And that's the main reason that we're interested in it. One can be more complex, add electronic packages for doing remote targeting, but that's all an extra, but it will come.
The production has started, the early stages, and we're building the first aircraft for the final certification, because we have to go through it again, naturally, as any changes that are made. And I would say sometime next year the first aircraft will be being produced.
And where do you see them being sold?
Well, all over the world, I think, to armies and navies who might use such a vehicle. Police, too, obviously, is a serious use for it. But I'd see it primarily as a serious aircraft, although it's great fun.